goes into Facebook, the camera is there, and that thing goes into YouTube, Twitch, and other places.
Cool.
Small platforms. Hopefully the sound should be fine, and let us see the people.
Yeah.
Gary?
Hi. Helmet.
One of the most successful guys I do know.
Oh, that's very nice of you to say.
Like successful in all the ways. In all the ways. You've got great family.
I agree. Yeah, very proud of my family.
Yes.
You want me to elaborate?
Well, look, there is no agenda again.
Oh, okay.
So we start. Yes, first people are popping in. Yes, Kaspar is a businessman from Latvia. He lives near Riga. Actually, he did live here. Tried to make over here. Didn't. Went back to Latvia. Started his own company. Did some risks. Took some risks, but he's made it. Good car, his own house, and
was the experience here maybe helpful? Do you think, or
Kaspar, was your experience here helpful? Yeah, that is actually a good question.
Well, because sometimes the grass can always look a bit greener, can't it?
Sometimes.
Well, yeah. So you think, oh, hang on a minute, things are not so bad where I am.
Absolutely, it's absolutely. Yeah. Sometimes you need to freshen your mind.
Definitely.
Yes. Yeah. And there's a Kaspar Skruvic. Do you remember the guy from Manchester? He's got his own computer shop.
I think this was some time ago. We had a brief conversation.
Yes, a while ago.
Yeah, yes, but we could actually see him, couldn't we?
Yes, that time, yes. Not today. Not today.
Okay, cool.
Hello, everyone, especially the guest. Yes. So over there you can see 12 people are connecting slowly. And should we make another coffee?
No, I'm fine, thank you.
Are you fine?
Yeah.
No,
I know you said I should have my 5 a day, but
no, I feel a bit guilty.
That's absolutely wonderful. Oh, so fire away if there's any questions you want to ask me.
In general, I saw you yesterday, and I thought, I'm a bit stuck on my own. I just feel stuck, and I always love listening to people who've made it, at least in my eyes.
Right.
I'm sure your success is not enough for you. Is
it? Well, I think that when I was young, sort of you first starting out, I remember having, I was ambitious, so I had 3 jobs. I worked in a bank, full time. Yes, that was when because my parents were from banking, and basically that was a good, secure job. But I didn't particularly like it. So in addition to that, I had 2 market stalls that I used to run, which was one was in Petticoat Lane in London, quite famous, and Deptford High Street. And we used to sell all ladies' clothes, sheepskins, leather coats. And in addition to that, I used to work in a bar 2 or 3 nights a week.
How old were you?
I was 18.
So you were 18. Good. Looks like you come from a really good family. Yes.
Well, I mean, I love my parents. Don't get me wrong, but I wouldn't say
but that's a good thing. That is a good thing.
They certainly wouldn't describe them as successful. They were sort of what I'd say typical working class, and basically that's why my dad suggested going into the bank, because it's a secure job, your mortgage, etc., pension, and so I took that route, but it wasn't for me. Hence the reason I was veering off into other avenues.
So you started with the bank, full-time bank, and then at the same time you had 2 stalls, and plus
I worked in a bar, and I was also studying for my banking exams.
How is that possible?
Well, it is possible. They used to give me a day release on a Friday, the bank.
Yes.
So I used to, but of course that was only the studies, and then I had to do my homework, lunch times, and whenever I got a break. But it's a bit like what Kaspar, was it Kaspar you saying, who's in Latvia?
Yes.
I suddenly thought to myself, there's got to be a better solution, and basically I was at a 21st birthday party. It was my friend's fiance, and I was speaking to this guy. He was a manager, a branch manager for a direct sales company, and I listened to him and the hours he was doing, and I realised how many hours I was doing, and I just thought to myself, I'm sure I can do your job as well as you can. Now you might say that's a bit conceited, but I was putting in lots of hours, and he didn't seem to be. You always seem to be at home. So cutting a long story short, I went and saw him, and I said, look, you know, I'd like to join your company. And he said to me, he said, well, come back and see me when you're about 25, when you're a bit older, and we'll think about giving you an opportunity.
Okay.
So I think it took me a month to grow a beard. I actually grew a beard, and I bought myself a new suit.
Okay.
And I turned up on his door, and I said, "What do you think?"
A month later.
A month later. And
he gave you 5 years.
Yeah.
You came up.
And
Nice.
so no, in fact, I was 20 then.
Yes.
Although it was a 21st birthday party, it wasn't mine. And anyway, that was it. And I actually started in direct sales, and no salary, no money, no income. You just literally had to go out knocking on doors, and if you didn't sell,
So you left your job at the bank.
yes, yeah, I did.
And what did your bank manager say?
Mm.
How do you explain?
Well, to be honest
Your
with you,
approach.
this is absolutely, I can remember it as if it was yesterday.
Yes.
I started explaining to people that I was going to do this job, and everybody just thought I was completely mad.
Okay.
And after, because I had to
It
give
does sound like
I had to give a month's notice, and after about a week, I got so fed up with explaining it to people and
Yes.
listening to their negative reaction. What I did, I told them that I was actually leaving the bank to go full time in the market, working in Petticoat Lane and Deptford High Street, and I was going to do it full time. And they completely changed. They actually turned round to me and said, "That's fantastic, good for you, good for you." But the reality of it was
Yes.
that the money opportunity in those market stalls was so limited, and it was so hard.
So they really didn't like the idea about selling.
Or they
About
selling
sales.
that, I think sales,
Yes.
and because I didn't
And
even
then
explain,
the market stalls were fine for them.
seemed
With
acceptable.
a minimum income.
Yes.
I'll make you another cup of coffee. And let us see. I'm really sorry, Kaspar say, but he hasn't got time to answer. He's shooting off to holidays to Maldives.
Oh,
You
very
see,
nice.
The guy made it.
Very nice. I'm off to Corfu, so yeah, good. Have a good time. I like the Maldives.
Yes, Gia is a day trader from Dublin.
Oh, okay.
Yes, and so carry on. I'll make you another cup of coffee. Absolutely, there is no
Well,
way.
so I mean that's it really in a nutshell. It was a great experience. I knocked on doors for 8 years, and thoroughly enjoyed it. Made a really good living, good income, and I got a lot of experience really, I guess, in sales and marketing and just dealing with people. And I think that really set me up. Well, ultimately, I ended up in 1999. I progressed, and I was running the company. I was the sales director of that company, and we grew the turnover from 88 million in 1999
Okay.
to 178 million over a 12-year period.
Wow.
So
Double the numbers.
yeah.
How was the bonus?
But the fact is that starting knocking on doors
Yes.
right at the bottom, I never ever lost sight of how somebody coming into the business feels, how vulnerable they are. Because I'll be honest with you, and this
Yes.
is probably worth sharing, that I actually resigned once a week, every week, for the first month I started that new job.
Once again. So,
I-
let me give you a
I
coffee. Yes.
actually
So
handed
every Friday you said that's enough.
that's enough.
Enough for me.
I said I can't do this job, and fortunately,
Yes.
to be fair, I had a really good manager. Obviously, apart from the initial not seeing the potential, and he kept encouraging me. And what I realised, I suppose, this is again youth, that instead of listening, there was a clear, defined process that you had to follow.
Yes.
And what happened to me, because I felt so confident and I thought, oh, this is going to be a piece of cake, I didn't really take the trouble to learn the process. And it was,
Okay. No, Carry on.
So
Yes.
well, it all came to a head. This is again. It's quite funny just reliving this actually now, discussing it. But it was one Saturday. I mean, literally, as I say, I'd worked really hard for this month. So I'd never sold a thing, never earned any money, and was feeling, pretty fed up, to be honest. And I said, no, look. That's it, John.
Knocking on the door, and the person opens the door.
Making,
Thank you.
no, making appointments, going in, but selling nothing.
Okay.
I was very good at making appointments, but because people at the end of the day, it's just about having a conversation, isn't it? It's about being polite and being nice.
Yes.
But what I didn't do, I just went into people's homes. Obviously, it's a long time ago. Assumed that they had plenty of money, and anyway, didn't follow the process. So on the fourth time that I resigned, my manager lost his temper with me a little bit, and he basically said to me, "Look, I didn't come to you; you came to me.
Yes.
I told you that you needed to wait until you were older, but you insisted.
Yes.
And now, that was it, because he asked me. Sorry, apologies. He asked me to go through a few basics of the process,
Yes.
and I didn't have a clue.
Okay.
So he said, I don't need to ask you if you've read that.
Yes.
He said, because I know you haven't.
Okay.
And he was absolutely right, because I'd come off this training course and I had a pile of paperwork like this. And
maybe some tapes?
no tapes, to
No
be
tapes
fair.
that time, yes.
And they all ended up in the wardrobe, at the bottom of the wardrobe. So we had a real heart-to-heart. And I left. He found me in a pub. Funny enough, I was with a pal. We were just having a beer, but I just thought, I've got to go back. It was my partner in the stalls.
Okay.
I've got to get back to earning
yes.
a living. And I left that pub. It was probably about 2 o'clock in the afternoon, and I went home, and I literally spent all afternoon, probably till about midnight, just working, going through all the notes. And the end result was I made lots of notes,
Yes.
endless little props and all that, and I had a presentation the next morning, and lo and behold, I sold it.
You sold.
I sold
You
it.
followed the procedure.
I sold it. So I actually joined this company in February 1978.
Okay.
I didn't write my first order till the end of March or wherever it was,
Okay.
or 4 weeks down the line after the course. And yet, I actually ended up finishing 10th in the company on the year as a salesman.
Number 10.
Number 10.
And that's Everest. There was
Yes.
they're like nationwide.
Yes, there was at that time, I think there was something like, oh my goodness, there was probably, I'd be guessing really, but it was certainly figures in the region of 700, because obviously it's a long time ago, so I cannot remember. But the following year, I was the #1 salesman.
Are you serious?
I'm honestly, and then they promoted me to a branch manager, but you still needed to knock doors. But that start for me, Helmet, absolutely, as if you like, mapped out where I am today, because I could have so easily
Yes.
left that company. I'd have left it. Why it made things fall into place. Whenever we had new people come into the business,
Okay.
I made sure that they followed that process. So much so, because people say they're going to do something. Do you need to? Do you want me to carry on talking?
Go on, carry on talking. We'll stop at some point, then we'll do the advertisement.
Well, whatever, I'm
Yes.
quite happy to have me coffee and.
Have your coffee.
Yeah,
And
and
hello, everybody. In Latvian, we say labdien.
Labdien.
Labdien. Perfect. So we've got some comments on YouTube. There are people watching on YouTube, on Facebook as well. And so, welcome.
Gary.
Gary, and yes, actually, what's the difference of Gary and Harry? Are
G.
those two different words, or?
Yes. Harry is
Yes.
an abbreviation of
Yes.
Harold.
Okay.
Sorry, Henry. My apologies.
Henry. Yes.
Henry. So again, I guess it goes back to the royals, doesn't it? But Henry
Yes.
is an abbreviation, or Harry is the abbreviation for that. A lot of people, they're called Henry, but people call them Harry. So
Okay.
I don't know if the
I
royal
see.
wedding. I
Yes.
don't know if Harry, who's due to get married,
Yes.
is actually officially Henry.
Okay.
But yeah. But Gary is totally different.
There is an interesting thing. Russians, when they hear Harry, they will say Gary. Russians will change that H for G.
Yes.
Of course. Those are two different
But totally
names.
different, yeah.
Historically, there was one very famous Harry. He really liked beheading his wives.
Yeah, Henry.
Yes.
Henry the
Henry.
Eighth. Yeah.
He had a hobby.
Yeah. Oh dear. Yeah.
So. Okay. Well, good afternoon. Here we have a friendly conversation with Harry. With Gary.
Gary.
With Gary. Yes. And yes, of course, the ads. So let us do it in English without any preps. So if you are interested in crypto mining cryptocurrencies, and you know that I've got a few computers and sometimes
yes.
it is a bit loud over here. And if you are interested, that is an interesting business model with investments, of course. And as in all businesses, if you buy some equipment, we encourage, if you do buy any equipment, do it from professional stores who do it officially with invoices. You could put through your accountants. And of course, please buy equipment that comes with warranty. It is really, really, really important, especially if you do buy some equipment for your own business. For cryptocurrency mining, there are only actually very, very few stores in European Union, in Europe at all, official stores who sell equipment for cryptocurrency mining. And one of them is like a company that all Latvians can take pride of. It is mineshop.eu. If you are interested in cryptocurrency mining, please visit mineshop.eu. It is one of the oldest official and unofficial shops based in Ireland, in the Republic of Ireland, and owned by Latvian guy Guntis Vitolins. He's got 2 farms, big farms of his own. He's got good YouTube channel, and he's probably the most famous Latvian guy in crypto mining field. That's mineshop.eu. Thank you. Yes, so that is what we do. Over here we do ads every time. They are a bit different.
Cool.
So otherwise people start skipping them.
Yes.
Interesting.
Absolutely.
Yes. And
Yeah, keep them interested.
Oh, the coffee goes down really well.
Yes. Well, I do. As I said, I'm very partial to a nice coffee, and that is a nice coffee. So well done.
Thank you. So you made it. So a month later, you made your first sale.
Yes. I made, as I explained. Yeah.
Do you remember what was different?
Yes, exactly what I said. I'd spent from 2 o'clock the previous afternoon on that Saturday through to about midnight just making lots of notes, basically following the process. And I think if there's one point that I would say, it doesn't matter what you're doing, yes, I think innovation is really, really important. But as a young person coming into this business, even though I was very ambitious, I hadn't followed that process. And the end result was that when I did follow the process, it worked. And then I think if you follow the process and it works, and that's exactly what happened, because the very next day, my first appointment, I made a sale. And of course what I then did, I worked on that process. I followed it, I worked on it, and I perfected it. I didn't just leave it there. I then realised the opportunity in front of me. And so the point is that I was very successful, really successful, and that really slow start just set me up for the rest of my life, really, because all those lessons, as I said to you, that I would have walked away from that company convinced that it wasn't for me, I couldn't do it, and that would have been a disaster. So whenever someone come in that I thought had the potential, I knew as long as they would follow that process and work at it, they would be successful. And that's what I did. And I think it's like anything subsequently, obviously as the further up the chain I went, you know, I just introduced that model, and we refined it, we improved it, and I trained people, and basically that's how we sort of grew the turnover to what we did. We went from 88 million in 1999, that's when I became sales director, to 100 and whatever it was, 75 million. And I think that what I would say with anything in life, it's all about, for me, people and making sure they're motivated and well trained. Doesn't matter what business you've got. So you came into my office the other day. And
you can absolutely say that. So Gary works at Kent Teaching Solutions.
Yeah, well, as I say.
Look.
Yeah. Fine, yeah, Gary at Kent Teaching Solutions.
Feel home.
But you came into my office and
Yes.
you said, "Oh, it's so lovely in your office."
It is always
Exactly, and I think
welcoming.
Yes,
Yes.
yeah. And for me that is fundamental, that you get the right people, you train them, and you
Yes.
train them well, and if they're trained well and they're motivated, they're going to perform for you, and it's as simple as that. And I think, it's never fixed, because I think, although people complain about training, I think if it's done right, I mean, we've got a training course, again, it's just on CRP. We've got a first aid training course that everyone's going to go through.
Really?
Yeah, on the 27th of July.
First
we
aid.
wanted to
Why
do
do
it.
you need it though?
Well, we wanted to do it for health and safety
Yes.
anyway.
Yes.
We've got an audit coming up, and we just thought, well, Gary's the
Yes.
first aid
Alexander.
officer. Yes.
Yes.
But we thought we'd all do it, and everybody's quite excited at the prospect of it.
Okay.
It's only a
That's-
day's course,
that's
6
cool.
hours.
Yes. Yeah.
But again, it's about how you present it to everyone, and what's to harm in it? It'll be fab, I think. But just training for people is essential.
Okay, so you doubled the numbers for the company. That's year 90. You started as a president in 98, yes?
No, 99.
No,
Yeah,
99, and 10 years later,
Well, I left in 2012.
2012. Why did you leave?
Well, to be honest, I can't really. Everything was fine. I just decided that I wanted to move on, but I can't obviously discuss the company.
I know, nobody understands English.
No, well, you've certainly got confidentiality, but
Of course,
basically,
yes.
it's a well-known fact that the business was sold, and it was just time. Having been there for 34 years, I actually thought I wanted to retire. It was a good opportunity, I thought, to retire, and
So sale actually did good for you
well, I'd done 34 years working
within one company.
had been fantastic, and I was happy throughout that period. I can honestly say, every day I went to work, I just felt totally motivated. A different job I was doing. Obviously, you go up, the further you go up a company, the more interesting it becomes. But so I thoroughly enjoyed it. But I just felt that I was 55. I thought I'm going to retire. But you have to be careful what you wish for.
Yes.
Because all of a sudden, what happens is that whereas your phone's ringing 24/7, emails and God knows what else, and it's just go go go. The day you retire, that all stops.
Absolutely.
And it's great for a week.
For a week. Maximum.
And then I think we went on holiday. I was away for a few months, and you do all what you want to do, and then you're obviously bored. So that's when I decided to. Funny enough, I had a lot of contacts, so people wanted me to go and work within their organisations in a sales and marketing capacity. So I did that for 3 years, but just 3 days a week.
Okay.
Which was a lovely.
What kind of companies?
Well, just basically it was home improvement companies in the main,
Yes.
and it was because obviously I was quite well known in the industry, and it was just really to improve their sales training, to improve their marketing, improve turnover, just the structure, and just used to look at all that. And so I was travelling up and down the country, but just 3 days a week, and it suited me. It was really, really quite good. It was enjoyable. I was enjoying it. And then what happened? I decided that we needed a family business, and hence the reason that my daughter, when she left university, she'd been in recruitment, providing supply teachers. That's where she well, that was it. That was her sole career. And I was absolutely involved in recruitment. It was a big element. I mean, one of the things when I actually got promoted, the sales force was quite dramatically reduced, to be fair.
Okay.
And so when I doubled the turnover, I doubled the number of sales agents.
Wow.
So that was the key. There is always a correlation between manpower and sales volume.
Yes.
And so, yeah, recruitment and training was massive. So it was a nice fit. So I told Jay to come and work with me. And then I got my son working with me. And so, yeah, and hence we've got Kent Teaching Solutions. And it's doing very well.
Fantastic.
Yeah, it's doing very well.
There's a question from Gia. In general, we will ignore most of the questions. I do apologize if the conversation flows really so well. But
sorry, no.
Gia, no. Oh.
Yeah, you ask me the questions and I'll answer them.
Come on. Gia asks, do you agree to Richard Branson that customers do not come first, but staff does? If your staff is happy, your customers will be happy. It's quite an interesting...
Yes, I was going to say, I think that it's a balance, really. I do think that the customers, customer service, customer satisfaction is vital, in my opinion. And I think too many people don't appreciate the repeat business. It's not, I don't care what you do, or recommendation.
Yes.
And I think that if you leave your customers, if you prioritise and make sure they're satisfied, and that was absolutely paramount as far as I was concerned, then I think it's both. You've got to motivate your staff, you've got to make sure they're well trained, and I think that you don't really want them interacting with your customers until they have been trained properly, or it's certainly under supervision. But for me, I think they're both very, very important. So I'm not ducking that question. And who am I to disagree with Richard Branson?
I'm listening what you are saying, Gary, and whatever you say, I'm like, beep, helmet, failed. Beep, failed. Beep, failed.
I don't know about that. I think it's just I like to treat people the way I want to be treated myself.
Absolutely.
And I can be a fantastic customer if I'm valued, and then I will spread the word as well. I'm an advocate, and I think the more advocates you can create for your business, the more secure it's going to be.
There is a comment on YouTube. Let us see. Arne says, the biggest problem for Arnes, he's concerned where to get inspiration to go forward, and he asks, the biggest problem for me when I'm starting to make some good money and I'm in this comfortable place, my motivation suddenly drops. The same happens with every business I have.
Well, I think that and I used to see that so often.
Really?
Oh, it is really common.
People make it and lose.
Well, I don't necessarily say they lose motivation, but what happens is it's all about discipline and training. And I'll try and give you an example. A lot of people beef on about footballers, don't they? They say how much money they earn, etc., etc. But the fact of the matter is that if you actually want to stay at the top of your game as a footballer, you have to perform. And the only way you'll perform is by consistent and constant training. Nothing changes.
Yes.
The menu doesn't change. They have to do the same training and preparation every single day. A singer, you talk about singers, they're very well rewarded, but they have to train their voice every day. They can't sit, and they have to find inspiration to write songs. What my experience was on a lower level, where you find somebody that's very successful, they've got they follow the process and they're doing really, really well. And they're earning really well. And a few months later, what happens is, initially with everything, there's enthusiasm. And people perform with enthusiasm. But after a period of time, it's impossible to keep that enthusiasm. And that enthusiasm will inevitably start to decline.
Yes, it goes down.
And as that declines, what should happen, if you're doing the right preparation, is professionalism actually comes in. And it's interesting because there was a study, and I can't recall it, but it actually talked about natural talent and people that worked have to work really hard.
Oh yes, there are lots of researches like that. Yes.
And what happens is that natural talent, it's all very well and good, but what happens is, and these studies consistently prove this, that basically the people that actually consistently put the training and the effort in, no matter what it is, eventually outperform the most talented, because those people don't. And so to answer, who was the person? Arnis.
Yes.
To answer Arnis, all I would say is it's about being consistent with what you do. And I'm not saying that you need to work 24/7 every day, but it is about making sure that you've got a process. I mean, one of the things that we always used to do, we used to call it sales through accurate records.
Sales for accurate records.
Sales for accurate records. And
Okay.
I think that if you keep a diary, whatever it is, and you analyse, you keep these records of your highs and lows, because nothing, obviously doesn't matter what it is, nothing goes up in a straight line, does it? There's always,
Okay.
you look at the stock market,
Okay.
whatever it is. And by keeping accurate records, what you do is you look back at when you're being really successful, and guess what happens? You usually find that you're working a lot harder when you're really successful, and when you're not, your input. And as I always say to people, the harder you work, the luckier you become. And I think that for me, it's really important. So to summarise, it is all about, whatever that process is in your business, is just making sure that you stay on top of it and you don't find excuses to do other things that are not important. Does that make sense?
Oh, absolutely it does.
Because so many people focus on the easy bits there, and there's always a horrible bit about your business that you don't like, and usually that's the most productive element of it. That's what I find. The bits that you hate doing it, but when you do it, the results are fantastic. And what people end up doing is focusing on all the bits. Once it's all going really well, they don't want to do those horrible bits.
It absolutely does make sense, yes. Okay, so what did you say to Arnis?
Well, that's it really. I just think that he needs to, I don't know what business
And
he's
how
in.
to keep motivated if you are...
Well, I think you've got to reward yourself. I mean, for me, a great...
So he gains success.
Mhm.
He's successful. How successful guys can stay motivated?
Well, I think that you need to, it's a balance, isn't it? Some people just work 24/7 and burn themselves out.
Just buy a Lambo. You will need to pay insurance.
Well, whatever, yeah. I mean, I like sport. I always used to consider it throughout my life. I've always carved out an hour or so every day to go to the gym or to work out. I think that's really, really important for me. I've always enjoyed sport, and that used to stimulate me. I used to try and do that in the mornings before work, even if I got up early. So I think that's one thing. Reward, holidays are an investment. There's no question about it. Some people just work and they don't have a holiday. For me, I used to always try and insist that all my people that work for me took a holiday.
Okay.
And then when they come, and book it in advance, so you've got something to look forward to. And then, when you work hard, go on your holiday, come back and you work hard again. Or a goal, does he have targets? I always used to get people to write down what their goals were. What was, because a man without a target, you can be the best shot in the world. If you haven't got a target, you're not going to hit anything. And so I think you need an income target if that's what motivates you,
absolutely.
Whether it's a house or whatever, and then you have to go for it. But again, you have to really, don't kid yourself. You've got to put that target up and then do everything to achieve it.
And that's the thing, people like to fool themselves.
They do. I mean, I
They
have
do
people
find
say,
excuses.
I want to earn £50,000 a year.
Yes.
Yeah?
Yes,
Okay.
of
And
course.
then you look at what they do, and I turn around and say, no, you don't want to earn £50,000. You don't. And the reason you don't want to earn it is because you've not put the effort in.
So what do they do, usually? So they want to make 50,000 a year. And what do they do?
Well,
Usually, what do they do?
when I say what do they do, I mean,
Usually. there must be some pattern or something.
Well, you've got people that do make it, and nobody becomes a success by accident. So the people that do make it usually do all the right things, don't they? So whatever that is involving in your business, it's about being diligent and about being consistent.
Consistent and following the procedures.
Whatever procedures you lay down. You know, I'm always, we know what our KPIs are in our business. We have our KPIs clearly listed, and we know it. I know when we're waning from it. I don't go in shouting. We have a conversation. Everybody is aware of how important these.
Could you explain the term KPI and then what are they for?
A KPI is a key performance indicator.
Yeah.
So whatever the key performance indicators of your business is, you need to be aware of them.
Okay.
You know, they're the points that drive your business, aren't they?
Okay. So the main stars you would go after.
Yes.
Or the main targets.
Yes. Whatever.
Yes.
So.
Or the fact, like, if you reached it, you've done what you intended to do.
Well, I think it's about measuring it, isn't it?
Yes.
Nothing.
Well, that is how to measure your success.
So what you do is, I mean, you have bad days and you have good days, right? But the key thing is, it's about doing the right things all the time. See, that's a good point, because a lot of people get down. Okay, so if you know what is the formula for success, because not every day was a great day in my life. You know, there were days that I could go out and I can be. Let me tell you, when you're in direct sales, you can work as hard as you like, and it doesn't always come right. You know, I've knocked on doors all day long and never made an appointment, but I know, because of I keep the accurate records, that if I consistently do the right things, then I'll get the result. But it's not always going to fall in line, bang, 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 bang. But if you are doing the right things, then it will come right. And that's the same in business. They're not always successful, brilliant days, even weeks or months. But if you're measuring it and you can see that there is a trend, that you're going in the right direction, then you just keep doing the right things and it will get better and better. If you come off that, then it's not going to stay on track, is it?
Gia says, thank you, of course, for your answer about Mr. Branson or Sir. And she says, I could listen to Gary for hours very well.
Thank you.
Well, it is. I was actually very happy that you agreed yesterday to come in for an hour or something.
Half an hour, I said. But
half an hour.
Time flies.
Half an hour is over.
Go on.
Have we still got like 15 minutes or something?
Yeah, carry on.
Yes,
go on.
Thank you. Could we put IBF under, like, my project? Under the scalpel.
Certainly, yes.
So, I would say my main. I'm stuck. I feel stuck. Somehow you just feel. Maybe the hours are. Maybe I'm putting too many hours.
You do. My observation of yourself is that you work long hours. There's no question about that. I see the times you put in, and you also seem to work. I mean, I used to work, 7 days a week, but that was when I was 20. 20 up to 20. Well, 30 maybe.
So when you are 20, that's okay.
I think so, yeah. But I do still feel, even in that period, that you've got to have some downtime.
Yes.
Because inevitably, I don't care how much energy that you have, if you don't invest in yourself, then you're not going to perform. You are going to become jaded, and it's difficult when things are not going well then to motivate yourself and do the right things. And I've seen a lot of people where they just do too much. And I used to say to people, again, for me, I always diarised everything I was going to do, and that included, and I still do, it includes when I'm going to go to the gym, when we at the beginning of the year we always book up our holidays, so we've got something to look forward to. We know when we're going to be off, when we're going to be away, and we know when we're going to be working. And I'm not saying that's a simple answer, but you do work very, very hard, and I don't ever see you have any downtime. Is that a fair assessment?
Well, you're never in.
This isn't just my one business, by the way. So I am actually quite busy. I mean, I do 3 days here, but I do have other things that I need to do as well.
I could never get like a consultant at the moment, like you, and just to consult. So therefore, I'm using the moment.
No, and I understand
Yes.
that, Hamid, but I
So
still
so
feel
you
you need to have just some time. You know, you've got to have.
I've got this feeling that I want to grab everything I can. Use,
Do you do any
squeeze.
sport?
There is no time for sport anymore. I'm still paying for my gym. I'm
Right.
still paying.
Well, hang on. Let me just
Yes.
share this one with you, because particularly when I used to work 7 days a week,
Yes.
and I was absolutely flat out, I did more thinking. When I used to do a lot of running, I always used to run 6 miles every day.
Okay.
And that 6 miles was a luxury to me, because I used to do a lot of competitive running when I was younger.
6 miles. Wow, not
Yeah,
bad.
but I used to do a lot of training
Yes.
when I was young, so that was, it wasn't difficult. It was relaxing for me, and I used to be out in the morning, and I just used to think, and I used more clarity I got
Absolutely. Yes.
around. And then what I also had was dreams and goals,
Okay.
and those dreams and goals. The more you think about them and the way you want to develop them, and I found that I'd get showered and then I'd be absolutely raring to go. I'm not saying that's what you'd want to do, but
No,
I do.
you are absolutely right. You are right. You are right.
Because you can
Yes.
be at the
Yeah.
coal face 24/7, and in the end you can't see the wood for the trees.
That's enough. Cut. But still, there is this feeling you don't want to miss anything. You don't
And
want
you
to
won't.
give chance to anybody else. Like I've got this feeling.
And I see that.
I'm organizing all the, like, we have so many different topics. Like we talk about internet business or business in general, and I have one conversation in the morning, so 10 o'clock one, then one is at 1 o'clock, then I go home, usually have a nap for an hour, just regenerate energy, and then I come back, and 8 o'clock is the last one, Monday to Friday.
Well, there's no shame, and I'm sure you've heard
Yes.
this, although things have changed. But we
But
used
maybe that is based on fear, that if I will do less.
Well, a point I say, there's no shame in being a millionaire a day late. That's the first thing, is there? And it's probably a multi-millionaire.
Well,
in
there is
nowadays.
there is not a shame to be a millionaire at all.
No, exactly.
It doesn't
So if
matter.
it's a day late, it doesn't matter. But the point, and that was told to me years and years ago. But the point I'm making, even with all of these meetings that you have,
Okay.
I just think that if it's a shame that you're not into sport, or if you are, even if it's a walk.
Well,
if it's
I
a
do
walk,
love sports.
So just
Yes.
a nice quiet time where you do something, and I'm not talking about necessarily competitive sport, where you're actually doing something to work out, whether it's swimming, walking, running, jogging, whatever, so that you just have some thinking time, and then you get out of the shower and I come out totally energised. I feel energised and ready to go.
Absolutely, yes.
I'm not saying that you need to flog yourself, because I didn't do that. I hardly broke a sweat when I did the run, because I used to run a lot of distance. I used to do a lot of competitive running. I used to run 50 mile a week. When I was in my teens, I used to do a lot of competitive running. And so, yeah, 6 mile was just a breeze, nice and easy. But I'd come in, I'd get showered, and I'll set up for the day.
I do love running as well.
Well, there you go.
Even on treadmill.
Yeah, well, so
Nice
whatever,
and easy.
yeah,
Nice
yeah.
and easy.
I used to be lucky. I used to be able to jog around the country, even better. Just go out and not see a soul.
You would say, I've known you for so long time, and this is the first time you say procedures is the key element. Procedures.
Or a process. I mean,
Yes,
process. we had a process.
The right people.
Yeah, you can call it a plan.
Yes.
Whatever it is, you need to. With everything. When we set this business up, I asked them to input the team into the plan. So once you've got your plan, I'm not saying that's it, but it's a blueprint. And if you put enough energy into creating that plan, then the very least thing you can do is follow it. I've seen so many presentations from people that want to start businesses, or that are in business. They've got their plan, but what they do never resembles it. So they write something down, but then never follow it.
That's stupid.
But
It's ridiculous.
I know,
But
but
you waste your time on the planet.
you tell me. Maybe is it? I don't know. But I think if you put a plan together, then what you really need to do, if you believe in that plan, follow it. Of course it will evolve and you can change it, but don't keep chopping and changing as well. Fundamentally, if you've got a sound plan, then you stick to it.
I've got sound plan.
Well, then
Monday to Friday, 3 lives a day.
But you still work at the weekends in here as well?
No.
Oh, you stopped doing
weekends are off.
Yes. Oh, good. Yes. Oh, well, that's that.
We had a conversation with my wife. That's
good.
That was crazy.
Oh, well, that's cool, man. That's good.
So Monday to Friday, then that would be fine.
Yeah.
Even these hours, even at this age.
Yeah, that's not bad. Well, you're younger than me, aren't you? Lot younger.
Come on, of course, fitter.
So have we got any more questions, or?
Okay. Yes. Let us see. Well, people maybe are afraid to ask something. But at the moment, there are no questions.
Oh, right.
People are just listening. People are just listening. Yes. So you would say it is all about the procedures. So when you go inside the company, how do you judge it? So you see a company for the first time.
Yeah, but I'm basically, when I go into a company, I'm looking at their sales and marketing. That's really my area of expertise. I'm not getting into finance. I'm not getting into the operations. It's just sales and marketing that I look at. And so what I tend to do is I go literally down to grassroots level. So a manager will take me around and I ask questions.
Okay.
And it's amazing. And just we'll use the example I've just given. I ask what their process is. I always ask them to provide me, the company, what's their process.
Structure.
And then when I go down and I start going to grassroots, very rarely do the actual people at grassroots follow the process, and yet the process in a lot of instances is really good. In most instances is very good. And what you've got, I think, is managers that are not following the process. They don't believe in it, they're not following it, and as a result it's not being followed by people in the company, and that's a bit sort of, I'm not saying this is the case every time, but I look at the process. If they're following it, then that's great. Maybe we need to slightly change the process or improve the way people are trained, and if they're not following it, then we get them to follow the process. But that's the first thing I do, grassroots, asking lots of questions, seeing what the process is, seeing what the structure is, and just get a feeling for the business initially, and that, depending on the size of the company, can take a few days, a few weeks, or a few months, but in the main, once you do that, then I sort of report back and say, well, this is good, this isn't, and we sort of take it from there. But normally I find that it's all about making sure you've got a good process, a good trainer, so that there's lots of training going on around what needs, and the right structure. So again, you go into companies that haven't got that structure in place, and
you are like my accountant. He always says, Helmut, you need better structure.
Well, I'm talking about in terms of
he's always
control.
Always the same. Yeah. Effective, nice, and he's doing fine. He's got always processes in time, structure. That's the main thing, key thing for him.
Well, I think that manpower or people always equates to turnover. Okay, and as I say on many occasions, a poor big un will always be a good little un.
Could you explain that, please?
Yes. So a poor little un. So you can have a let's say there's 20 people and they're poor.
Yes.
Will always be 4 good people.
Okay.
And the point is that people, and again, just look at it in companies when I go, and I'm talking from a sales perspective here, not manufacturing, nothing else. I'm just talking about sales. There's always a correlation between sales and people in a business. Yes. And so therefore, now the better trained those people are, okay, the more likely they're going to perform. They're going to perform better. So I think it's about training and motivating those people. But all my discussion today is coming from a sales and marketing perspective, not manufacturing, operations, or anything else really.
Should the owner do all the sales, or if you start a company, should you hire sales guys first, or should you rely on sales on yourself?
Well, it depends really how good you are. I know a friend of mine.
Yes.
and he's a fantastic salesman. Runs a really good business. It's all about they're importing fruit, and he was brilliant, but he needed someone on the marketing. He needed contacts, and it was a really big gamble. It was a lot of money they had to pay to get this guy on board when the company was in its infancy. But he'd done his research. They got him on board. It was a big gamble because this guy was earning more than they were. They were really struggling.
Yes.
But it paid off. So I think it is obviously playing to your strengths, isn't it? And of course, money is key. So it's all about the balance. So it's a bit of a difficult question to answer.
Would you keep a person who is low performing?
No, I wouldn't. I mean, again,
even if there are excuses and stuff like that.
Well,
but
I
there are
think
real
that
life excuses.
you have to evaluate everything. I think if somebody is hardworking and they're motivated and they're following the process and you're helping them, that's one thing. I don't think you can just get rid of somebody. For me, because as I say,
as Henry did, just chop off the head.
I think it's really important that you obviously explain any person. If you're going to take someone on, they need to come into that job knowing exactly what's expected of them, and then what you really need to do is make sure they're trained properly. And as long as they're working hard, they're not going to be as good as somebody that's been in the job some time. But yeah, I don't think you can tolerate bad performance, week in, week out, month in, month out. But I do think there has to be time for people to develop.
Absolutely. Yes. Actually, he's from Maidstone. A young guy. Yes. How do you find? He's 18 or 19.
Okay.
And how do you find the right direction in job world?
How do you find the? Well, again, I suppose
he's got real good technical skills. He's so good with cars.
Well, again, that's what I was funny enough just about to say. It depends on your qualifications. It depends on your ambitions, and obviously it depends on your personality. And I think all of those things will influence how and where you want to go. Some people are quite introvert, but they're highly skilled.
Yes.
Other people are very outgoing. And I think what you really need to do is decide what's best for you. And for me, if I'm being totally honest, I just was a natural salesman. I just knew that I needed from day one to get into sales, and so it was an obvious choice. And that it was quite difficult for me to get into sales at such a young age, because people, they think you're too young and you're not capable. But I don't know if Alvin is technical.
He's technical, a bit introvert, though.
Yes. So you've got two choices, really. I suppose is one, if you
calm guy, fantastic mechanic.
So therefore, if he's happy working in a really top class garage, that's fantastic. Another option, of course, if he's a fantastic mechanic, for me, what I'd be doing is I'd be buying and selling cars. That's what I'd be doing.
Salesman.
Because it doesn't necessarily. I mean, if he's got the ability to repair and make sure, so he can almost go to an auction, can't he? He can buy whatever car he wants at the lowest price.
Yes.
Work on it and then sell it at a profit. So he could perhaps work as a mechanic and do that on the side, just initially to build up some cash without spending it. And who knows where that can lead. But again, it's down to whether he wants to do that.
Exactly. He has to find a way for himself.
Yeah, what is good for you. But for me, if you've got that kind of skill, I mean, I love cars personally, quite motivated by them.
Mercedes is awesome.
My R8 was even better.
Oh God.
Yeah, that was. I've had some nice cars over the years, but getting a bit older now. But I think that what a great opportunity to run your own car sales. And he's got the ability to make sure he can deal with any problems.
Fantastic, Gary. Thank you. And maybe the very, very last thing, And I suppose today there are Latvians from, and there is Hetia. She's a hairdresser, really amazing, energetic. She rides a bike.
Okay.
A bicycle.
Yes.
Like sports bicycle. It clears her mind, and a successful woman as well. So what would you say to Latvians who live in Ireland or in the UK?
What would I say to them?
Yes, as an Englishman.
Well, it's very difficult, really, because it's really how do they feel? I mean, you certainly seem to be comfortable and made yourself at home here, and I think that it's like anything, isn't it? You've got, if you're happy here and there's opportunity, and equally, as I've forgotten his name now, the guy that's gone back to Latvia, what was his name? Kaspar.
Yes.
He worked here. He didn't like it. He's gone back to Latvia.
He couldn't settle in.
And has made a roaring success. That's a really difficult question you've made there. I think that the UK has got fabulous opportunity. The people that the Latvians that I've come across seem to be in the main hard working.
Thank you.
And motivated. So I think
hopefully successful as well.
I was going to say, on that basis, that's a formula for success. But it's all about, I think, being happy, isn't it? So if you're happy here, then you can make a success of it.
I can actually see the correlation. People like Latvians who start complaining, oh, all the women are fat, food is horrible, you just know immediately. He or she is not gonna stay. There is no way for.
Is that what they're saying about the food here?
Yes, food is horrible. No, really, you can always tell who's not happy here.
I have lovely food. I mean, I'm very fortunate. My wife is a fantastic cook. Okay. But I think, I mean, my son. I mean, you listen to his menu that he prepares every evening. My God,
really?
It's just amazing. Oh, he's a great cook. He does the cooking. But
Gary.
Gary. Oh yeah, loves. I mean, today he's had some fantastic prawns, some really nice salmon.
Oh God!
This was just for his lunch. He always has lunch. Yeah, he does. Yes. He does his own. But yeah, so again, it's probably the same in Latvia. You've got people that are absolutely they no preparation, so they don't do any thought, put any thought into what they buy. No menu, etc. He loves Jamie Oliver's 30-minute menus. Loves them.
So you would say sort out your procedures, your structure, and the food will be awesome.
Well, it's about whatever you put. If you don't put anything in, you're not going to take it out, are you?
This is what I'm saying. Probably you've travelled a lot as well.
Yes.
I'm saying I've been in States, studied in Korea, stuff like that, and all across the Europe. And wherever I see a person who kind of lives there but hates the local food, that is sign number one. Of course, he's unhappy about himself or herself, and they're going to leave. It is impossible to settle in, and that is sign number one. They start complaining about the food.
I mean, you've got such a choice. I mean, I've travelled. I've been
Cuisines
all around the world,
yes.
and I have to say, I think our supermarkets. You go into our supermarkets, and the choice.
Just think of English in France.
Oh well, I mean, you know, we was in New Zealand and we was in Australia.
Yes.
Okay, which you'd think. And we went into the supermarkets, and although it was nice, don't get me wrong, the selection that you get here compared to there, you know, I love Greece. I'm a real fan of Greece.
Really?
But it's got a lot better. But again, we go to there. I've got a house in Corfu, and you go to the supermarket, and it's great, but it's not got the selection that we have. So I don't know what it's like in Latvia.
Is the house big enough?
Oh, it's an apartment.
That's fine. Yeah. Can I borrow it for a week or what?
No, we don't let it out.
Why not?
Because it's our home. Yeah, we don't let it out. But yeah, so what can I say? Does that answer it to
imagine?
Does that answer your questions? Because I've got to get back to work.
Absolutely. And the last question for Latvians. Latvians are a lot. They do worry about Brexit. Mm-hmm. Just a few thoughts.
I wouldn't worry about it at all. To be honest, I wouldn't worry about it at all. I think, being perfectly honest, I find it very frustrating about our MPs. I really do. I think they're the people that are fighting Brexit now. are just such hypocrites. They talk about democracy. They're doing everything they can to derail Brexit. And for me, I don't think it may. I'd prefer Brexit to go ahead, because I think it gives us a chance of land of milk and honey across the world, to trade across the world. You know, there's all this scaremongery. As we know, okay, there's a World Trade Agreement, and currency fluctuations have far more impact, in my opinion, than the tariffs that would go on.
Yes.
The UK, 67 million, whatever it is, of people. We love spending money. You know, everybody wants to import into the UK, and we want to export. And you know, for me, I just can't understand why. I think if it does get derailed, I think it will be a very sad situation for democracy. That's the first thing. But quite frankly, I don't think it makes any difference for the Latvians, or any other Europeans for that matter, that want to work and live in the UK, because the doors are wide open for hard-working people. There's no question about it, which, as I've already said, and I genuinely believe this, I think, you know, most Europeans that want to come here, if for people that want to come for any other reason, then obviously that's a different matter. But I do think, I'm biased because I live here, but I wouldn't want to live anywhere else in the world, and I wouldn't want to work anywhere else in the world. I think there's great opportunity, and I don't personally believe that anyone is going to be adversely affected by Brexit. I really don't. If they've got the opportunity, we're talking teachers, doctors, anyone that's trained, they come here with a job, we're going to welcome with open arms, because we need those people. But if it goes either way, if it goes back, I think if it goes back to another vote and we stay in the EU, I think it will be detrimental for the UK. I really do, because I think it will be under a Labour government, and God only knows the terms and conditions that we'll sign up to, because it's just crazy. Does that answer your question?
Absolutely does. And the last thing about Can Teaching Solutions, just in the case if there are any teachers watching.
Oh, absolutely, yes. I mean, you can go on our website. As I say, we've got lots of European teachers working for us, and again, great work ethic, great attitude, and you know, love working with them. So you can just go on our website and give us a call, and you know, we'll be delighted to help you, whether it's finding a permanent role or day-to-day supply. So.
Okay, so teachers can apply even if they are from Latvia.
Yes, yeah, absolutely, and we'll give us a call, and we'll have a look at what your qualifications are. I mean, with cover supervisors, all you really need is a university degree, and you can still work as a cover supervisor in secondary schools as well. So, but we can talk about that.
Wow, man. What are the wages?
Well, it depends really on your qualifications, but I think if they give us a call, because obviously there's a different rate between a cover supervisor or a teaching assistant to a fully qualified teacher.
Okay, teaching assistant.
A teaching assistant realistically would earn around £60 a day, I suspect.
£60 a day.
£60 a day. But again, it depends on their qualifications, and you don't get a lot of supply for teaching assistants. A teaching assistant really would be a permanent role. So there's not going to be lots of opportunity. Cover supervisors, if somebody's got a university degree, then that's a different matter. But I think to sort of talk financial until we'd see someone.
I've got a university degree.
Sorry?
I've got a university
and you'd
degree.
Be a great cover supervisor, you would.
Awesome. What are the wages?
For you,
yes.
It would be somewhere in the region of about 80 to £85 a day.
£85 a day.
Mm.
You see? Salesman.
No.
He's got the eye immediately on the target. Thank you. Okay.
My pleasure.
And I really hope that you did enjoy the conversation. I definitely did. I need to sort out my procedures. And probably take a sales guy or a woman.
Well, you're a natural salesman yourself, but you can't do everything yourself. That's the issue.
Exactly.
That is the issue, and it is about. I think you have to
Thank you.
part. You know, you need someone else to do it. Delegate. That's the word.
Exactly.
Delegate.
Delegating.
You've got to
Delegating.
have,
Yes, that's the difficult part.
Yes.
As you are the only one who knows everything.
I know.
Thank you, Gary.
Cool.
Okay.